time, I guess.
Last time I realized it wasn't plugged in.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's what it was, yeah.
No, okay. Well, we can hear you this time, so that's good.
Okay, perfect.
I see Shannon's here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And actually, that might be it. Aside from we have some.
This meeting is being live streamed. Got it. Zoom meeting.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm hearing the video prompt, or the audio prompt. Okay. I think we're just waiting for a few more folks. So we'll wait that few minutes until 2 o'clock and then we'll get underway. Shannon, is that good?
Yep. Works for me.
Okay. Hi, Christian. I see you're getting set up to be ready for us. We're just going to wait that 2 minutes until the two. Oh, Brad, and I guess it's Megan. Is it Megan? Yes. Hi. We're going to wait that now 1 minute until the 2 o'clock to make sure everyone who is joining us today gets here. So we'll sign back, or Shannon will start us up in about a minute. I think we're good now, Shannon, if you want to start us off.
Okay, sounds good. Just want to welcome everybody to this month's meeting and thank everybody for coming. Hope you all survived the crazy snow that we had on the weekend. And I'll turn it back over to you, Nancy.
Okay, thanks, Shannon. I chatted with Shannon a bit earlier, and it just seems to be easier for me to guide through these meetings when we're doing them in this virtual format. So I will continue to do that as long as we're in this format. So first off, I'd like everyone to be reminded that this meeting is being live streamed as well as recorded for future viewing. So be mindful of that. I'd like to see if anyone has a conflict of interest. The agenda went out. Does anybody want to report a conflict of interest? Okay, we'll move on. Our last meeting, October 13th, we didn't have quorum. So we'll be looking to approve 2 sets of minutes. First for the June 9th meeting. So I sent those out to everyone. So if you had a opportunity to review them, if there's any errors or omissions, you can let me know now. But for the June 9th, do we have a motion to approve those minutes? Okay, Lisa, and a seconder, Diane. So I'll just go, is there anyone opposed to that, those minutes passing? Okay, great. We'll move on to the October 13th minutes. So if you've reviewed those that were there, could we have a motion to approve those minutes? Got that, Marchie, and someone to second. Thank you, Diane. And is there anyone opposed to that, those minutes moving forward? Okay, seeing none, we can move on. Excellent. As you can see or hear, we have transit staff with us. There were a few questions that were submitted. So we will first, we'll go to you. Is it Christian or Brad going to give us a little bit of an update? And then they'll address, I forwarded those questions, so they'll address those few points. And then there'll certainly be time for questions or comments after if there's any concerns that aren't addressed in this first portion. So you can go ahead there, Christian, if you like.
Way to start addressing some of the questions, or what is it that you'd like to for us to report to you? You're on mute there, Nance.
Of course I am. Were you going to give a little update on the policies or anything? No? Were you just, sorry.
We could speak to possibly to the audit that was recently done.
Right.
So there, I don't know how many folks know, but there was recently an audit that was done through, they came through and they requested some information for us regarding to accessibility, and we worked with those folks. I don't really know that we have anything else new to report. I know that there's always a question as to new buses that may be coming. Next year, already we've got commitment for 3 new 40-foot Nova buses. There is supposed to also be 2 parabuses that will be part of next year's fleet. And that's all that I have at this point, but I believe that there will be an additional 3 35-footers that will be going out to tender in the near future for next year. As far as anything else for updates from our end, we do have a couple of new parabuses that were recently put into service, Parabus 41 and 42. They're from last year's order, but they're now both been on the road on a daily basis. So that's, I guess, a little bit of an update from our end. I guess I can also speak a little bit to training. We've been working with a couple of the new drivers. We've recently hired 2 new drivers that have, one has completed his license and is actually out on the roadway, and he's done all his parabus training and will be out there on the parabus shortly. Actually, I believe he's had maybe 1 or 2 shifts already so far. And we also have a new gentleman that we're currently working with that's in training. And I believe we have 2 more new drivers coming. And I'm not sure yet if they're going to be the end of this year or possibly the beginning of 2022. So that's kind of a little wrap up of what we've got going on. If there's any other questions that anybody needed us to answer, we will definitely do so.
I'll just add to that a little bit, Christian. To be clear for the committee, it was an accessibility, it was a Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility that requested a desk audit. So they reviewed all of Transit's accessibility policies. A few things were updated as a result. That was all submitted to the ministry about, I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago now. And we haven't heard anything back, but it was considered a desk audit, and it kind of got a lot of ducks in a row. And it was, I think, a good thing after it was all done. Justine, could you bring up the City of Sault Ste. Marie website, the transit page, just for a second so I can...
Yeah, sure. 1 second.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to bring up, for the benefit of the committee members, the City of Sault Ste. Marie, the corporate website, has a transit section. I mean, that might be a little difficult to get to. You have to go in and select the department. and then get into community services, and transit is there. But it does have, so here, so if you, this is the accessibility section of the transit website. So you'll see there in the center, closer to the bottom, policies and procedures for the transportation standard. That outlines how City Transit addresses every requirement of the accessibility legislation. It's outlined completely there, and then the updated accessibility plan. So if committee members, if anybody is interested in checking that out and going through it and getting back to us if you have any questions, there's a lot of information there. There's a lot of information on this transit area of the City of Sault Ste. Marie website, especially the accessibility information. So I'd encourage people to share it if they use transit, or get the information out there, because it really is helpful to folks. So I just wanted to point that out, and if anybody has time to go through it or wants to make comment on it, you can get back to me, and that would be great. Thanks, Justine. Is there any questions on that specifically? Okay, Christian, do you want to go ahead then and address the few questions that were submitted?
Sure. So I'm just making sure you can hear me.
Yep.
So I think that the first question that had come across was a couple of CNIB challenges, if I'm going down the right path here, Nance.
Yep.
So number one was somebody who was questioning how the new stop calling system announces locations. So I guess there was some confusion. Some of the old system used to call out certain areas. For example, Cambrian Mall. The old stop announcement system would actually say Cambrian Mall. The new one is all derived towards addresses. I guess the reason for that is because we were told that over time, as different, the Cambrian Mall might be a bad choice to change, but different businesses were being announced, and we were kind of directed to go with addresses instead of businesses. That was for a couple of different reasons. Number one, we had some businesses that were saying, well, I want my business advertised on the call-out system. It necessarily didn't go down that road. It was more or less just about the address of the place that we were going to, and that's how all of our stops are cataloged also. So when all the information went into the new system, that's just how it was. For specific folks that are having issues with certain areas, if they need, if they need to know the address of the Cambrian Mall, for instance, or need to know the address of, I believe there was a doctor's building that was also given an example, Dr. Barisiak's office, which is, I believe the address is 783 Great Northern Road. So as that's announcing to some of these folks that may be visually challenged, they're hearing the address instead of where they may used to have heard the business. So there's a little bit of a gap there, or possibly some training or some information that needs to be brought forth to those folks. And we're willing to work with them on that for sure. If they're confused, or if they need direction or guidance, they can reach out to us, and we can definitely assist them with getting to their destination. I'm trying to think of some of the other challenges that may have arose. Nancy, if I'm not mistaken, also another one was somebody had said that they are having some issues with some of the length of the bus stops. They're not able to see the signs, whether it's that the sign is too high for somebody who may be visually challenged. And that's something that we've been in contact with CNIB on in the past. And if some of those folks can let us know the areas that's challenging to them, there is signage available that we can put on our posts that would make it a little bit more, that would ease the transition, or make it easier for those folks to see the bus stops. So if we can get possibly more spots identified as to where those challenges are, we could try our best to work with CNIB and maybe as some kind of a pilot project, or, you know, if we can identify 4 or 5 stops, we can try to reach out to those folks and see if they can change those signs or help us put their signs on. Basically, for anybody who hasn't seen them before, or it's basically a black and yellow sign that makes it a little bit easier for someone who's visually challenged to see the bus stop. So I think that's kind of the only things that we had there so far. Nancy, if I missed anything, you can feel free.
Sorry. Those were the only points that were brought forward. To be clear, so we're looking at getting input from the community. So if you're at a bus stop and you notice that the sign is high, we'd like to hear either through me or to Christian at Transit, what signage is higher than it should be, or if it's too high for whatever reason to see easily and it doesn't jump out to you. We want to hear about that. We did have meetings, and I think, geez, those were in-person meetings, so it would have been over 2 years ago with CNIB about this issue. And although they didn't give us any locations, it was recognized that it was an issue at some spots in the city. And the thought was that we'd add, like Christian said, it was a sign or some painting or something to those posts, because in some, I guess, situations, it's hard to get it lowered because the bus driver as well, or the operator, needs to be able to see it. So depending on, you know, the maybe trees or the location of it, it needs to be at a height that they can see it. But we're thinking that we can add this marker that is at a lower height for people that are walking in the community. So we want to get the feedback on the exact locations, and we're expecting that we will be adding those probably next spring or summer, I think. Correct, Christian?
Yeah, if we can identify areas where there's concern, for sure, we can definitely work with the folks at CNIB, and I think it's always a great idea to test something before we implement it any further. But definitely, if we can identify areas of concern, I think that's the first step in the process.
Okay, is there any comments on that?
Hi, it's Carol. I do have a comment. Could you maybe get in contact with CCB Group?
Can you share that contact information with me, Carol?
It's the Canadian Council of the Blind.
Mhm.
And I think Transit has their email for Dorothy. And she can reach out to all the clients that are in the group, and they will give you a list of the different bus stops.
Excellent, we'll do that. Thank you, Carol. What was Dorothy's, her last name is escaping me right now.
It's, how do you spell it now? McNaughton?
Oh, McNaughton. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how to, yeah, I couldn't, okay. We will do that, thank you.
And if possible, if anybody reaches out to her, we're having kind of a little get together, if we're still allowed, to December the 1st. So she may, you know, ask some of the clients anything that, you know, would be interesting to let you know.
Okay, so this CCB email will go directly to Dorothy?
To Dorothy, correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Were there any further questions for transit staff?
So the call system, you cannot put the business names on it, or it's easier to leave it the way it is?
I think the plan was to leave it as is with the addresses, but they'd be encouraging people to call in, say if you were going to an appointment or you're going to a specific building, you could one of two things. You could, when getting on the bus, ask the operator, you're going to such and such a business, what's the stop I should be getting off on? Or you could call in advance, you could call the transit office number and tell them you're going to such and such a business, and they could let you know then what address you should be getting off on. Am I correct on that, Christian?
Yeah, that's correct. As far as changing it goes, I don't think that we're going to be changing anything. We're still fairly new in this implementation of the new concept. So changes are not going to be anything that we're going to be doing for the next little while. That's for sure.
So are you saying when we get on the bus driver will tell us where we get off?
Ideally, we would hope that you would. Our operators will absolutely help for sure. But ideally, if there's a certain location that's challenging, such as I don't even know what to give for an example. It'd probably be best if you gave us examples. But if you said something like 293 Bay Street, our system will say 293 Bay Street, but that is in fact the Station Mall. 750 Great Northern Road, that is in fact Sioux Area Hospital. 44 Great Northern Road, that's in fact Cambrian Mall. So that's just the way that the system is now designed. And if there's certain locations that you need to go to, feel free to reach out to us and we will definitely convey to make sure that you have the proper address to where it is that you're going to. Like I said earlier, I think Dr. Parisiak was another one that came up, and that's off the top, I believe that's 783 Great Northern Road. So we will definitely help facilitate wherever we can, because there is that little bit of a gap there. But we, for right now, I think that's the best way for us to go through this challenge.
The Dr. Parisiak thing, it's not so much it's announcing the name there. The problem with that stop is you can't find it. And one of the clients had told me to mention that stop to use because she goes there, that's her eye doctor, and when she leaves there, she cannot find the stop. I guess it's not marked well.
So could that possibly be one of the ones that might be a little bit too high?
She can't find it at all. Wherever it is, she can't find it at all.
Okay.
So it's something, it probably doesn't stand out somewhere.
Well, without knowing exactly in my mind, I believe that one is on one of the posts out on Great Northern Road, and it may be a little bit too high, or it might be one of the challenging ones.
Okay.
Can we possibly? Does that person feel free to reach out to us, and we can work with them and bring them exactly to that stop and
I could talk to her.
Yeah, if they want to reach out to us, and we can, do we have to bring them there on a parabus perhaps and show them exactly where it is? Would something like that help?
It might. I'll mention that to her. Yeah.
So we, again, there's not one right at the end of that driveway, but there is one to the right. So you go out of that driveway and go to the right before the pole.
Okay. Now, I think there was another one written down there, Pine Street and McNabb. Okay. Now, I know exactly what bus stop she's talking about there. And it is where the old Mike Smart was, on the corner there. There used to be a phone booth there. I don't know if you remember that spot there where the gas station is. The sign there is way, way high, way high. So like it's not even an eye level, and there's trees there, and you're lucky if you can see it.
Okay, so that would be another area of concern then?
Definitely.
Okay, I guess we can look at both of those two areas, and if there's somebody in particular that we can help with those stops, we will. But we'll get out and take a look at those and see how we can try to make them more visible.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Christian. Carol, I'll make sure to keep in contact with transit, and we'll get back to you as we figure out what to do on those two spots there.
Thank you.
Derek, did you have a question? You're muted, Derek.
Mute start video.
There you
Can
go.
you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. One of the things that I thought of was the dollar store. There was a bus stop at the dollar store, but it was the weekend. It was the weekend stop. So if some of them are too high or some of them are not being used during the weekend, they could be a weekend one that they don't use every day for regular service. So that's why it might be a little bit higher. So there's some bus stops that they use all the time, and then evenings and weekends they use an alternative bus stop.
Thank you, Derek. I think and this is to you too, if you notice that some are high, or if you're out and about, even with, if they're not used all the time, and I don't know how that works, but even if they are, we should have something identifying them lower on the post. So if you come across any that are too high, you give me a call, and we'll have transit look into that.
Well, I when it comes to that, I like to keep in contact with transit. So, but I'll keep you informed as well.
Sure.
But it was just because I was confused on why there was a bus stop at the dollar store, and I called Christian, and he told me that it's for evenings and weekends only. That's why I'm saying that one by the phone booth might be only for weekends and evenings.
Okay, thanks, Derek.
Yeah.
Nancy, I have a question.
Go ahead, Shannon.
I was just wondering whether the new buses they were talking about being on order for next year, whether they're the same type pair of buses as 41 and 42, or whether they have the old style of like lifting system that lifts you onto the bus.
So, hey Shannon, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for the question. To be honest with you, I truly don't know what is spec'd out for the next round of pair buses, but I can definitely find out and get back to you.
Okay.
That
It's
would be.
It's
Sorry.
just with the new ones with the ramp. All the drivers have been really good with me about it, but I'm not able to load and unload myself. I can't push myself up that ramp.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. And so unfortunately, Nicole wasn't able to join today, but Nicole is the one that usually takes care of the tenders, but I can definitely check in with her and find out what it is that we are getting for the next round of pair buses, because I truly don't know.
Yeah, like to me, it doesn't matter, but I need to know that the drivers will make sure that they assist on and off the ramp, because I understand it's curb to curb service, but loading myself on those buses, I can't do it.
Yeah, so something that you should also know, just as a footnote on those two buses, originally when I think they looked at those buses, they had a winching mechanism in them. So should those be the same style of buses, I believe that they will make sure that they have winches in them. And as far as the two buses that we do have on the road, I don't know where we're at in possibly retrofitting those two units with winches. So the winches would basically just be like a little cable that would pull out, attach to the chair, and assist with pulling up. So that might be another option that happens going forward also.
Can I make another comment?
Go ahead, Derek.
None of the drivers like the new buses. The new pair buses, nobody drives them. They're their
Yeah.
least favorite buses.
Thank you, Derek. I'm wondering, Christian, and I want to also, I meant to say at the top here that Nicole had full intentions of being here, and she sends her regrets. Something came up that she had to tend to. Derek, I'm wondering, Christian, sorry, if we should be getting those concerns from users and maybe having some sort of meeting with possibly me if I can get some feedback from the committee on those specifications, because if the drivers aren't happy and the users aren't happy, maybe we should be looking at doing something else. I know with the new ramp, it's quite steep. So, and even coming down and off of that, and whether people are concerned about, getting a little out of control and putting their faith in someone else. It's different when you had the lift, right? So you're getting down to ground level and off you go. But when you're heading down into icy conditions using a wheelchair, it can be very, very concerning to the person sitting on that chair. And I know that from feedback. So maybe we should be getting some feedback from users and drivers. And if this, wasn't a great choice, maybe we should be changing that in the future. But I will contact Nicole about that.
Okay, got a question for Christian.
Go ahead, Derek.
Okay, Christian, if we need to, could we go back to the original Fords, or are we locked in for the new buses the way they are?
So Derek, I unfortunately don't have anything to do when it comes to buying the new equipment. I can certainly put forth recommendations. But I don't know that we're locked into anything for next year. All I do know is 41 and 42 are in our fleet currently.
Yeah.
But I think that discussions like this are what's going to help possibly change anybody's mind or, have the best input for what's going to happen going forward.
Because your drivers are really, really against the newer buses because they're okay, but they got to get out and push somebody up the ramp if they can't push them up the ramp, like Shannon said, and they just don't like the style of the bus. They say it's all wrong, the style of the bus.
Yeah, and we appreciate you bringing those concerns forward, Derek. That's exactly the reasons we have these meetings for, and
Okay.
we'll make sure that Nicole and her staff know what's going to happen going forward, and any recommendations for change are good things.
Okay.
Christian, just for my notes, is it the bus 41 and 42 that have the ramp now in place of the lift?
Yeah, that's correct. So 41 and 42 are the two newest para buses.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, it's Carol. I've got a question here.
Go ahead, Carol.
Okay, transit, are they working with the CNIB on Blind Square? I think I got an email or something saying that Blind Square is now free and that transit is working, I guess, with CNIB, or what's that about? It's an app.
Yeah. Christian, do you want to address that? I mean, I know a little bit about it. There was an approved pilot project, a wayfinding pilot project that was going to have a few stops. I believe we discussed it at a previous accessibility advisory committee meeting, and I believe it was delayed. Can you add to that, Christian or Brad?
Yeah, so I guess I'll speak on that. So Marianne Bent is the lady's name that we've been working with on this this app that they're looking at launching. So they came to us some time ago, and they had this pilot project in mind. So we've been working with them back and forth on a couple of different areas. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they've got the information that they need at this point, and it's a matter of when they're getting ready to launch it. I don't know of a date that they're talking about, but I do believe that it's in the very near future that they're going to be going forward with this project. And basically, from my understanding of it, it's just going to have a little bit more description of all the bus stops. So it'll be a little bit more descriptive for those folks with that are CNIB or that have challenges with some of the areas. So it's just going to add information to those stops. Brad is here, and I think Brad's been working a little bit more with them on it. So I don't know if he's got any input that he wants to put forward, but that's basically, I can't give you a launch date, but I do believe they're looking at it very closely in the next month or two to be ready to go.
Okay, because they did email me when they first started, but I haven't heard anything since. They wanted me to, I guess, test it out and everything, but I haven't heard nothing since.
That's
Yeah.
right. At the time they were looking for a user to try it out. So I can check on that with them, Carol, because I think I kind of reached out to you on their behalf. So I can go back and check with them to see what their plans are with that.
Okay, because the last email I got from them, they were trying out something, or it was a bunch of codes that they wrote in the email, and that was the last thing I heard. That was it.
Okay, I'll reach out to them and get back to you.
Okay, perfect.
Before we let our friends at Transit go, I got a question for either Christian or Brad.
Go ahead, Derek.
Okay, Christian and Brad, I just wanted to let you know that a lot of people use apps now. Are we going to get an app so that if somebody can't read, they can look on the app and get their pair bus schedule, what they agreed upon with the dispatch? So we're not calling the office. Could we get an app that'll go to the cell phone? Because many people are using that nowadays.
Derek, it's Brad.
Sure, Brad.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. We were looking at that as one of our future projects here. We're currently trying to get our fare box project done, get the new fare boxes into the systems. The call out was in. We're launching our new app, so you can track the buses and everything on the conventional. You'll be able to track the buses on fare bus where they are, where they're driving around. But yeah, there's a software that we've been looking at where you can actually start to book online. It's a future thing. We're looking at other transit properties that are currently using stuff like that. But in the budgets from it right now, it's one of the features that we're looking at. So you could, same as booking an airplane ticket, you can book it from your computer. You can have all the information yourself.
Okay.
But that's coming. I'm not going to say it's going to come within the next year, but it is coming.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. So Brad, this would be an app that people would be able to go in and check their bookings. So if they made a few bookings for the next few weeks or whatever, if they had to go back, they could go in after the fact and check on their own.
Yeah, 2 years ago, we were down in Toronto. We used to go every spring to the OTE conference, and they have a display every year where all the manufacturers and for everything from building a bus to the software on a bus and everything is there to see. And we were talking to companies about that. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get together with these people since then. But for projects, depending on the scope, instead of like right now, we do a manual paper where the driver picks up his sheets and it's a list of his calls. Eventually, you want to go to a tablet in the vehicle where the calls just come up on a tablet. They mark when they get there, they mark when they leave. They don't see their next call. The system designs the next call for efficiencies if somebody's behind. But that all ties into the whole system where someone can look into the system where their calls are, where the bus is coming. It's a future thing, it's a budget, but it's one step at a time to make the whole process come together.
Okay, thank you. Were
I
there
have
any-
a comment.
Okay, go ahead, Karen.
Okay. The city bus terminal itself, the way it is right now, when you go in, if you go in, you have to sign your name in the book saying you're in there, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, now here is my issue. I don't mind writing my name down and giving my phone number, but I have an unlisted number and I don't like to write down my last name. Okay, so can we just put our first name and phone number without the last name? Because I had the girl at the canteen write it down for me and she says that I have to put my last name down. And I'd rather not because my number is unlisted.
Carol, it's Brad.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll talk to concession staff about that in privacy. And I see the sheets come through from the sign-in sheets for people sign them themselves that are at the front door where the clipboard is.
Right.
And you'd be actually probably amazed at what gets written down as the people's names and their phone numbers, because the names are just descriptive things and the phone numbers aren't even in our area code or anything that's there. So it's more of an honor system, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from and we'll work with you on that. I'll have
Okay.
staff, you don't have to put you'll be knowing once people get to know who you are when you're coming in, we just know that and you'll be fine.
Right. Okay. Okay. Because everybody sees that book, eh? Everybody. And
Yeah.
I don't want my last name on there.
No, fully understand and I appreciate that. And we'll work with you on that one.
Okay, perfect. And I got to tell you, the bus drivers, they're fantastic. I do not have a problem with any of the drivers. They are all fantastic. I just had to say that.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
saying that. We do appreciate that.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Hi, I have a question for transit.
Go ahead, Diane.
Thanks. Do we, and I apologize, I know we've got it. I haven't even looked at it at all, but do we have a plan for updating bus stops and bus shelters? Is there a plan in place for that? Just wondering where we're at.
So hi, Diane, it's Christian. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Nice to see you all.
Yes, nice to see you too. So I guess it's actually funny that you bring it up because just as of this morning, there was 10 new shelters that were delivered here. So as far as bus stops themselves go, in the springtime, we go through all the routes, usually with the assistance of our summer students, and we do see if there's any updating that needs to be done. But as far as the shelters go, we do have 10 shelters that were just delivered. And obviously we don't replace any shelters in the wintertime, but there has been quite a bit of shelters that have been identified as older and needed to be replaced. And those shelters just showed up actually this morning. So we're ready to go come springtime to hopefully, pending any other delays. I don't even want to say any reasons for delays these days, but hopefully come construction season, we can get out there with our crews and public works if needed. And there is definitely some shelters that will be replaced in the spring.
Great. What about the one right across from the Pine Allard buildings? That one there, I know I've got a few clients in those buildings that I'm working with, and I think there's a curb on the shelter right across from the Pine Allard buildings.
So I guess maybe I'll turn it over to Brad on this one. I know he's been a little bit more involved with this one, so I'll let him speak on that.
Yeah, you're talking on the east side of Pine Street across from Food Basics.
That's right. No, a little bit further down, Brad. Not quite Food Basics, but more right across from the buildings, Pine Allard buildings. There's two of them there.
The half shelter or the
I think there's a shelter there as well.
there's a half shelter up by the going in entrance into the pea patch. That's a half shelter.
That's the one.
Then there's the other shelter down by the apartments across from Food Basics.
No, it's the one that goes into the pea patch.
Yeah, when those shelters were originally put in, there's no sidewalks on that side to start to service things. If I'm trying to remember this one correctly. And land stuff, we can look at it. I know Public Works has asked us to move certain stops. In the history in the past, like let's go back 10 years or 15 years ago, we put a shelter up. And I was involved in it then. We would just basically work with somebody, put a shelter, put a pad down and create the location for the shelter. Now through GIS, we have to be very careful where the property lines are. Working with the crews at Public Works, they won't even touch a shelter or a pad unless it's completely on city property. The existing shelter, I know the one at Pine Street, it's about half on private property and half on city property. The one up farther into the pea patch, I'd have to do a GIS. And then it's working with Public Works, whether they want to put sidewalks in. I know the accessibility part where the sidewalks end, which is up around Tilly. I'm trying to remember in my mind, it's been a while since I've been up there. Where to put the sidewalk in to connect it all together. So I don't know if that's something we can work with Public Works on, or if there's no property because of the older property lines, the houses are closer to the street. But you know, if it's just a matter of a curb cut, we can do that. We just concerned ourselves with safety with people walking across the street to get to a bus stop. And we have that concern at Food Basics, but nobody wants to walk to the corner to the light and walk back up again, and there's no sidewalk.
Right. It's just, it's the closest in proximity. I know I've had at least one person at least once and probably several times wanting to take the bus and couldn't take it right across from the buildings because that's like there's no curb cut. Yeah. And I believe the problem is there's no sidewalks there.
Yeah. We can put a curb cut in and we can concrete anything on city property, but we can't concrete anything onto private property now. So we can make a platform for them.
And that's okay, and that's fine as long as the person using some kind of mobility device is able to get close enough, you know, to get into the shelter and wait if it's, you know, inclement weather, and they're able to access.
Sure. I'll get up there with Christian and we'll have a look, and then I'll meet with Public Works staff on that one.
Okay, that's great.
Were there any other questions for transit staff? Go ahead, Derek.
I was just wondering, with the new GPS monitors that you got on the Parabus, can you also add a camera to that so that they have like the backup camera, but it's not in the mirror, in the rear mirror? So can you add both the GPS and the camera so that the driver can see on a bigger screen?
Hey, Derek, it's Christian. To be honest with you, I don't know if that would be an option. That would be something that we'd have to reach out to the contractor about. So Consat is the name of the company that put those units in the vehicles.
Yeah.
But they do have backup cameras in them, like you mentioned. They do have them in the rear view mirror. Once the vehicle is in reverse, it comes on, and that's done through. That's a factory option in those vehicles.
Okay.
But as far as them coming on to the Consat, that's not something that happens right now, and I don't know if that would be an option going forward. I'd have to reach out to the contractor to find out.
Okay.
Okay, did anyone else have questions for transit staff? No? Okay, great. If anybody has anything they think of later, just get it to me and I'll get it to transit staff. Thank you, Christian, Brad, and Megan. Megan, you were left alone during this meeting. No, nothing for dispatch, Parabus dispatcher in this meeting, so that's good. Thank you for your time, guys, and we'll connect on the few points in the next few days and get some feedback back to the committee on those.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good to see you
Bye.
all. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, excellent. So moving on, the next item on the agenda was multi-year plan. It's old business. We've talked about it off and on for, it seems like forever now, but it's going to council on Monday for approval. I sent a copy out to everyone. It's more or less what we've reviewed a few different times that I brought it to committee for input. There may be a few well, I know there's one for sure, barrier removal item that's going to be a yearly commitment that I'll speak to right now just for a minute. So as you're probably aware, or the older members would be aware for sure, that we had what is called a text net system. That system had phone lines into most of the city of Sault Ste. Marie corporate businesses that people with hearing disabilities could use to communicate with departments. This was in place prior to me coming in to my position here in the accessibility office. I'm thinking it may have been 12 or 13 years ago. It came to my attention that we've been paying for that for probably 12 or 13 years and it had never, ever been used. So we have canceled the TextNet service. There was a contractual item, so it'll be a couple more months that we're paying for it. But I had a meeting with CHS staff. I've reached out to a few members of the community here in Sault Ste. Marie with hearing disabilities, one with deafness, to see what works best for them. And always, always, always it comes back to in-person ASL interpretation. And I know for those members that have been on the committee for a few terms, we had a committee member that used an ASL interpreter that was at every one of our meetings, and it worked well for her. So when you talk to people that are deaf, what works for them is live American Sign Language interpretation. That's how they speak, that's how they communicate. And none of these other things, we all think that technology is going to work for them and this and that, being able to type, that does not work for them. They're uncomfortable with that. So I was given a demonstration of this CHS VRI program, yeah. I can't think of what to call it. Justine, I'm going to do that. I sent you that video, so I'm going to show the committee the video just in a few minutes when I'm done setting it up here, so you can have it ready. So we've decided to move forward with this in speaking with some members of the deaf community and CHS. It provides for live interpreting. So if somebody needs live interpreting, you can have it, albeit on a tablet. But it's a live interpreter and you would have that, they would have that person available to them within 30 seconds. They did a demonstration with me, and when they activated it, they had, the interpreter was live on screen, I think in about 10 or 12 seconds. I spoke to one of our local interpreters who has interpreted here at committee meetings for years and other places within the community. She's aware of it. In fact, she does some interpreting for this service because it is CHS, and it's making a world of difference. It seems that Service Canada is now using it. Many hospitals around Canada are using it. So it is a thing, and it's funny how we're going back to what it originally was, right? It's in person, well, it's not in person, but by a tablet, but it is a live interpretation, and that's what folks need. So I'm just going to show you a little video on it so you're aware of it. It has been added to the multi-year plan because with the feedback and with canceling TextNet and without representation of anybody with a hearing disability on the committee, I knew that we just needed to replace TextNet with something that works for folks in the community. So that's been added to the multi-year plan. CHS has also assured me that the next committee go around, there will be somebody with a hearing disability, a local person applying for a committee. They explained the whole history of why they stopped allowing staff to participate in committees, which didn't make much sense, and it's been sorely missed in our community. But the next go around doesn't start till next fall. So they've assured me in any event that we will have representation from the deaf community on the committee, which will be great. So Justine, if we could see that video now for the committee members to be aware of what we're moving forward with, that'd be great.
Is there supposed to be audio?
If we could just pause it, Justine. There is supposed to be audio, but when it started without the sound, I thought it might be it might be interesting for us to see it without the sound, as it is a demonstration of what somebody that has deafness experiences. But Justine, can you see if the audio can start?
Yeah, let me check. There's audio on my end, so let me see if I can figure this out. 1 second.
Okay. And if we can't, I can send it out. Or did I send that out to the committee already? I can send out that link to you can view it. Always something with these virtual meetings, right?
Sorry about that. I had contacted IT to get my computer to access YouTube, but I didn't think to mention the audio. If you want, Nancy, I can send that link out to the invite group after the meeting if you want.
Yeah, we'll just do that. Is it still queued up there, or did you close it?
It's still up. Did you want to finish watching it with the subtitles?
Yeah, we can finish watching it with the subtitles, and then we can send it out, because there is some audio that would benefit some folks. So we'll finish without the audio and then send it out. Okay, we'll get that out to everyone so they can hear it, but it was just as slick as that when they did the example with me. And so I'm going to get some information from members of our community that would use sign language interpretation. They're using this in other areas, but it seems like it's what should be being done for the members of the community. And we're going to move forward with that. So it was very interesting.
So are you going to send us that link, Nancy? So
yes, yeah. Sorry, Carol. We will send you the link, and it's a YouTube video, and there is a lot of audio in it that explains it. So
can I share? I've got a huge majority of my friends are deaf.
yeah,
Can I share that with them?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And we're going to try and figure out how to get it out. Unfortunately, there is not a local CHS, Canadian Hearing Society office here anymore. It's been a while. And talking to them, our local representative is actually in Peterborough, which seems odd to me, but so it's hard. I'm trying to figure out how to get the information. There isn't one way of getting in contact with, I'm told there's more than 40 deaf members of the community that use ASL interpretation. So I've reached out to Giselle, who was on the committee and or in the process of doing that actually, and one of the ASL interpreters to make sure this filters out to the community, because there isn't one place to go to get it to everyone. So as much as it can be shared would be a great thing. Thanks.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Were there any further questions on that?
Open chat panel, Alt+H.
So that was it. Anything else on the multi-year plan as the plan as a whole?
Are they gonna be doing more sidewalks? Like building sidewalks?
So our plan, the little budget we have there to do barriers beyond what is required doesn't speak to sidewalks except for the curb cuts on existing sidewalks. But I'm sure Public Works has plans for sidewalks. Was there someplace specific, Derek, that you were wondering about?
Oh, I was just wondering if they were gonna finish the one. They got one part done on Northern Avenue, and there's a part by a blue house that's not finished. It's further down as you come off of Northern Avenue, and it's not finished. It's just got the
Is
like
this,
a barrier there, and then it stops.
is this an area that you travel? Was it an existing sidewalk that they're just replacing, or is it a new sidewalk they're putting in?
A new sidewalk that they're putting in.
Okay, I'll check on the Northern Avenue sidewalk for you tomorrow, Derek, and give you a call.
Okay.
I've got a question about an intersection. It's Carol.
Okay, Carol.
The Pinot lights down by
Oh,
Walmart.
here we go. Good God. Sorry.
I've got to mention this because I had an incident there. Okay. So I'm walking down the highway and I'm heading into town. Okay. So I'm at the corner and I'm crossing to head to Superior Bakery. When I'm halfway across, there's a car coming down the highway and wants to turn into Walmart. So he turned to go down into Walmart and did not see me crossing until the very last minute. And he ended up swerving, going up, and I know there's no curb there now, but up the curb into the Superior Bakery parking lot. And he was pretty shook up. Okay. He drove right up to the building, parked, and stayed there. And I don't know how long he stayed there. And I remember it was a Tuesday because the bakery's closed. Okay. He was the only one in the parking lot. So what is it that the city's going to do for the cars turning left into the Walmart, Pino's section there or whatever, heading towards Walmart when people are walking. Is there something they're going to do with those lights so the people know to, I don't know if it'd be a flashing light or I'm not sure what they could do there to, because they're trying to rush across to get the light, rush across the other lane of traffic going the opposite way, and they're not paying attention to the people walking across.
Okay, so Derek chuckled there because we were in contact a few times in the last little bit to trying to get information on those lights at the Pinot development. I can check. I don't know if there's going to be a flasher or an arrow. I would expect there would be in a location like that, but I'm not going to say for sure because I don't know for sure. But I can get the details on that for you for sure and get back to you.
Because when Walmart first opened, did they not have problems at that intersection before with a bunch of accidents? It just seems to me a few years back.
There were issues with people coming out trying to make the left-hand turn. So they stopped that, right? So people coming out trying to cross traffic and make the left-hand turn.
Oh, okay.
That was the issue at the time.
Okay.
So, but the details on the flasher or arrow, I can get that easy and get that to you.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
And, there was a delay in getting them activated. They've been up there and covered for quite some time. I think if they haven't yet, it's going to be moving ahead. I haven't been up in that area for a little bit, but we can I'll get the information on those to you.
Okay. And speaking about activating,
Go ahead.
I should have sent this all into you, but as we're talking, I think of these other things I should have wrote down. When you're crossing the street, you got to press the button and it beeps so that you can get across. That beeping does not give you enough time to even make it halfway across. And I am a walker. I am a good walker. I'm a walker, and I can't even get halfway across the street before the beeping stops.
When I hear from people that the timing is off for crossing, I always contact our traffic department. So if the timing is off at other intersections, you should let me know and I'll contact them. And if the timing isn't appropriate at this one, we'll contact them as well. So for sure we can get that information to them.
Do you want me to write a list for you and send it to you later, or?
Yeah, you can certainly do that.
Okay, because I do have a list. I walk everywhere. So
Yeah,
I think I know this city pretty good. So I do have a list.
Now, sometimes when they're in a sequence, so if you like say Great Northern Road, there's only a little bit of an adjustment that can happen without adjusting all of them because they're timed, right, to usually allow the flow of traffic.
Right.
But yes, absolutely, get the list to me and we can discuss it and I can chat with Andy at traffic and we can see if we can make any adjustments that would make it safer for you being out and about.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Question for Diane. If you don't mind, Nancy.
Yeah,
Okay, what is going to happen to the old Husky site right beside Walmart? Did we get any, like I know they had to leave it for a couple of years because of the oil that was from the trucks and stuff, but have anybody submitted some plans to build a building where the old Husky used to be going into Walmart?
Diane, that question was for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I miss a lot of the conversation because my internet is unstable. So I apologize. Yes, Derek, and there is some development plans in the works there. There's going to be, it looks like they've got something like, I think, 3 different buildings and then one section I think specifically where the Husky is, was not included in the initial meeting that we had for, it's a DART meeting, and I forget what DART stands for, but it's an early development meeting with the developers. So there are some plans, and you'll probably be seeing and hearing about those somewhere in the not too far future.
Okay, thank you very much, Diane.
You're welcome, Derek.
Was there any other questions about the multi-year plan? Okay, so that will be going to council on Monday. If you care to tune in, council's back to virtual or fully virtual meetings. And I think it starts at 4:30. So if you want to tune in, you can do that. See if they chat about it or if it breezes right through. Sure, it'll breeze right through.
Can I just add something? I wanted to let everybody know. It's a development that's going in the old Lowe's parking lot. What they've done is Princess Auto has leased the building. So they got a development, like a contractor from Toronto, Priestley Demolitions. They demolition half of the building, and they are going to make the other half, the one that they demoed, garage for Princess Auto. So that's what's going on at the Lowe's. If you go by Lowe's and say, where's the other half of the building? They're putting in garages for Princess Auto.
Thanks, Derek.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the next item is the barrier-free parking violations, and I didn't get any feedback this month on whether there's any tickets, but I will get an end-of-year report. There wasn't a site plan report that went out this month, was there, Diane? No, I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure I didn't miss anything.
No, you didn't miss anything, and I apologize to the committee. Usually I'm on top of things, but I've been away a couple of things in the recent months.
Yeah, and I don't think it was anything that was requiring any feedback from committee or anything like that. So
no.
Diane and I both see things as they come in and attend these meetings together generally. So I put the next meeting for January. That would be the second Wednesday in January, seeing that this one was late and thinking that there likely wouldn't be anything to deal with in 2 weeks. So if we could get a motion to adjourn, if that's okay with everyone. We will do that, and we'll see you in January. Derek, let me look at the time here because I always seem to forget the time. All right, and a seconder? March, okay, I got that. So I wish everyone a happy holiday season, and thank you for this odd year of meetings. And it looks like we'll be starting up in the new year in this format as well, but we'll get things done nonetheless and move forward, removing barriers.
Nancy, when does our applications go in for committee?
Not till next fall, Derek.
Okay.
Not for a year. So, and we'll be sure that you're aware of it. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Everyone take care out there and see you in the new year.